Hey guys, Corey from Aquarium Co-op here, and today I'm going to show you how I hatch brine shrimp. I've got a giant commercial brine shrimp hatchery that's a giant waste of money, so don't buy one of these. It's like $100. Hatches a lot of eggs, but the thing kind of sucks. Really, you just need a cone-shaped thing and some brine shrimp eggs and some salt, but I'm going to go ahead and clean this from hatching yesterday, and I'm going to show you what I mix, my own little brew, so to speak, and how I feed it out and things like that, and give you tips along the way. So, it's going to be a little loud while I clean this, but it's very important to clean this each time because the scum and bacteria that builds up in here is what gives you a bad hatch. So you want to buy quality brine shrimp eggs, that's the first thing, but then you also want to make sure you're not fouling them. So let me go ahead and clean this. I'm going to pour it out. Stinky water. By the way, if you don't rinse this out every day, you're a moron, because by day 2 or 3, the wife literally starts yelling at you going, "What's that smell? What is that? It smells like something's dying." It's all the brine shrimp eggs and stuff fouling. It smells terrible. So you don't want that in your fish room, because that is the fishy smell. When people go, "Well, don't your fish smell like fish?" They don't, but they do if you have rotting brine shrimp. So let me just get some water going here. You want to rinse all the salt deposits. Get all the old eggs out. We're not making it sterile, but we're also not leaving it dirty. We're literally going to put the same thing that was in it back in it, but we don't want it to build up in stuff we don't like. And that's too much bacteria, dead eggs, fungus, anything like that. So I just let it run through here. Then we're going to fill this back up with water. I've only got cold water out of here, so you're a leg up if you've got warm water, because it takes a while for the eggs to warm up. But, not the eggs, but the water to warm up. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this again. I'm going to close my little tap here. Start filling. And then we're going to talk about what I put in and what makes some sense, tips and tricks, and what people do. So, just like that, we've got the water. Now, whoa, almost dropped it. That was scary. So now, back to the station where I actually hatch it. If I was a better fish keeper, which I will be soon, I would have a shelf mounted on this wall. This thing would sit here and make my life super duper easy. But since I just set this fish room up and I just started hatching brine again about yesterday, I haven't put a shelf in, and today I was supposed to do that, except I thought, hey, I need to shoot videos and get caught up, so my brine shrimp hatchery is suffering so that you guys can prosper. So remember that, I'm doing this brine shrimp for you. So off to the other station, so to speak, and we'll show you more. So here we are in the mad scientist lab. Okay, maybe it's not a lab, but I am reusing those Lowe's stands. If you see me in other videos using these stands, then that's what I'm using it for. I took the tank off here already. Man, this lighting is terrible, but whatever, you'll get to see what I'm doing. And so, first thing, we need some aeration. I've got a little air stone. It's a very coarse air stone, never clog air stone. A lot of people will say just use an open-end air stone. Or not air stone, air line. Anything works. You don't want too much turbidity, but you need some. So we're going to throw this in there. And right now I've got no flow. Let's get some flow going. So I'd say, something like that would be fine. It's not crazy, it's not, So, then we need some brine shrimp eggs. Well, let's do salt first. Why not? So, typically you want a tablespoon of either rock salt, aquarium salt. You can use marine salt if you're rich. I'm just not that rich. But a tablespoon of salt per liter of water. A lot of times you're going to use a 2-liter bottle, and so you're going to put 2 scoops in. I've got about 2 liters of water here. I'm going to throw an extra scoop in because that might be a little heavy. So let me get some salt in there. So, salt's in. Now, a lot of you might be saying, he hasn't dechlorinated the water. Well, some studies have been run, and people like Mike Helwig, Gary Lang, stuff like that, they found they actually get a better hatch leaving the chlorine in the water. It helps dissolve the shells. And if you're an experienced aquarist, you might have heard about bleaching the shells and getting basically brine shrimp. God, what is it called? It's basically brine shrimp decapsulated brine. That's what I was trying to think of. Decapsulated brine. They just use chlorine or bleach to do that. And so we're doing the same thing kind of by not treating it. And then my water, crazy soft and acidic. So I put a pinch, and that's not, you know, a real, you know, good indicator, but I put a pinch of baking soda in there so that I can raise my pH, because I'm not using marine salt. So I literally just grab a pinch and I put it in there. So now we have brine water. Now I'm going to grab my eggs. I keep eggs I'm going to use within the month or so in a container in the freezer so they stay viable. If you leave them sitting out and they're getting too much air and stuff like that, and you're buying a pound at a time, you're going to get bad hatch rates. So then I've got a little scoop. This thing's like a teaspoon, I think. I don't know. I'm not hatching for very many fish in here, but when I do the store or something like that, I'm hatching a couple of tablespoons at a time. Pretty expensive, but the results are amazing. We're just going to dump that in. And we're going to put this back in the freezer. Don't forget to do that. So that's the first thing you want to do. Alright. So, we've got our brine in there, and let's talk about what we need to actually hatch these things now. We've got the brine water. We've raised the pH a little bit. So, I'm not sure this is a must, but I don't think it hurts. A light. Some studies show that they hatch better with light. Some studies show they don't do any better. But a lot of times it'll help to keep a little warmer. This whole fish room we're keeping at 77 degrees, so I don't really have to worry about that. But if you did need to heat this, you could put a normal light bulb real close to it. It would illuminate it and add some heat. If you really were having some troubles, you could put this whole setup inside of like a 5-gallon tank and put a heater in there, and that heater would keep this at the correct temperature. But the temperature is going to have an impact on the hatch out time. So right now, I hatch out in about 20 hours or so. You can get that down to 18 or 16 hours, or it can go as long as 36. If it's cold, they don't hatch very well. So I leave a light on it, I let it bubble, and I'm going to take the camera here, I'm going to show you something that's starting to happen. If you really want to maximize your hatch, you're going to want to do this. Most of the time I am too lazy because it's not that many eggs, but you would let this bubble for, let's say, 20 or 30 minutes. You go do other stuff in the fish room, and you can notice, some of the eggs are getting washed up above the water. Well, those are not going to hatch. So you can come back after 30 minutes or something and just run your finger along the edge and get all those eggs back down. They just need to get to be waterlogged so they stay in the water. But that's all you got to do, and then you harvest, as I show you here in a minute, and then you feed. And it's enjoyable, and it's literally one of the biggest things you can do to your fish room to really amp up your production, because all of a sudden you've got tiny food available every single day. More babies are going to make it when you didn't know they were going to spawn. When those angels spawn and you totally weren't ready, you actually are ready because you've already got brine going, you've already owned the eggs, you're already feeding the best food money you can buy, in addition to other things, and so you really want to make sure you're going to do that. So now let's just show you what it's like to feed in the tanks and how fish take it and different fish and stuff like that, and yeah. So what we're seeing here is I'm collecting the brine shrimp, and the goal is to separate the live brine, which if I can focus in on here, you can see them moving. So all those little things are baby brine, and you can see it's, it's all the way through here, and they're photosynthetic, so they're drawn to light. So we're using this flashlight to do that. Up top here, we have all of the eggs that have hatched out. So we need to separate those two. And then to harvest, I've got a valve down here. Now, you could use a turkey baster to do this. You could use any kind of siphon to do it. A lot of the kits, like the bottle kit, you can also just use the airline tubing that comes from the bottom and goes right there. But all I have to do with this is kind of a commercial kit. It's spraying a leak. This thing's like $100, and let me tell you, it's not really worth it, honestly. Not unless you're hatching a ridiculous amount. And even now, I wish I had built my own instead of buying this one. But I just got to turn the valve here and get my brine a-flowing. And you can see it's kind of sucking brine through there. And then I'm going to turn this off and let it stop. And then what you're going to do, so that's how we harvest, and that's actually day 2. So I harvested last night already, and this is just the tailings. And I thought I was going to shoot this video on how you set it up and then how you harvest it. Well, it turns out I want to shoot the video so that I harvest, then I show you how I set it up, and so, you know, like tomorrow, what you won't see on the video, but it'll be a much heavier harvest. And I wanted to illustrate that you could only harvest some of the eggs, or some of the live baby brine, and then bubble it another day and do it again. And people are going to say, well, it's less nutritious, stuff like that. Yes, that is true, but we want to make sure that you know, we're using it all. And you know, a lot of times people just don't have time to hatch brine every single day. And you know, there's people that will get 2 different batches going in case one doesn't fire, so discus fry aren't dying and angels aren't dying and all those types of things. But I just use one because I'm usually feeding guppies and other fry and stuff that it's not life or death scenario. It's just really, really good for them. So yeah, we mostly let that settle. And you know, you could drain this whole thing. You know, there's still some in there, but you get, you know, I want to say 90% or something at the bottom there. And so let me turn this flashlight here, and you can see, you know, the density now, you know, very dense compared to what it was up there. And this isn't nearly what it is like when it's full. You can still see, you know, there's some eggs, like you can see some eggs right there that maybe are unhatched, but even on the top surface here, you're seeing a lot of stuff moving. Now, you can use a pipette or a turkey baster or something like that. What I'm going to do, because this is day 2 of doing this again. So literally, yesterday was day 1. Just got this set up back in the fish room. Normally I like to have it set up right next to my sink, but I haven't put a shelf in yet. But let's go ahead and feed some tanks here. This is some Cyprichromis. They do well at eating on this because they only like to eat mid-water. So I'm just going to pour some in there, salt water and all. You could rinse this. I don't because my water needs the minerals anyway. But so there, I poured some in. And you know, you can kind of watch it swirl around in there, and these guys will start picking on it here if I back up. That's the thing, is these guys won't eat if I'm close, so I have to back up here, and we'll watch them, you know, they'll start moving in on it here. Well, they won't because they're on camera, and I've already fed them once, but now I'm feeding some live brine. But we can actually watch the brine. It's moving its way over there. Now you can see they're all starting to move in on it. And so even though this is a big fish, I mean, those fish are 2.5, 3 inches, they've got small mouths. And this is one of the tricks to breeding Cyprichromis, and especially their babies and stuff. And that's what I love about baby brine shrimp, is adults will eat it, but the fry will too. And so a lot of times we can come over here, I'm going to put some in like some Pisto tanks and stuff, and most people go, well, Pistos have huge mouths. They do, but they also love brine shrimp. So I'm going to pour a little bit here in the corner. And so these are wild caught Pistos, and these are benchai. We'll see if we can get some of them eating it here if I back away. Sorry for the glare, I already apologize. But they're still looking at me, stick with their being smart. But we'll just settle in here and see if they start chowing down. So you can see there, he's starting to take it already. He's starting to grab mouthfuls. And what's really nice about this is you feed the adults and the babies, if I had babies in there, which they haven't given me any babies yet, but if they did, that would be super beneficial to be feeding them at the same time. So let's go look at some places where there are fry, like I think I've got a guppy tank over here. Sorry for the messy fish room, you know. But I've already fed these guys some dry food, and we can see, you know, it's still floating. These are Red Delta Guppies. I'm just going to pour some more in here, which I swear I'm really going to buy a pipette or a turkey baster here, but, you know, so we're just going to watch some more things. And the good thing is, this will stay alive for like 8 hours. So if you're to feed this in the morning and go to work, they're going to eat for quite a bit of time. And when you use a sponge filter, it doesn't get sucked into it nearly as bad as a power filter. So, you know, we can see here if I start focusing in on, it's hard to focus in on Fry, but you see that Fry right there is just going nuts. He's literally, and if we try him back in here in about 5 minutes, you're going to go, oh my god, they look like they're going to explode. Their bellies are so full. And that's the live brine magic, honestly, is that stuff wants to eat this stuff so bad. So I just put some, you know, some live brine here. You can watch it swirl around. Some more pistos. These are the orange flash. And, you know, I'm hoping that's a female there that's nice and yellow staying with that male. And I can actually see this has got to be a sneaker male, so I need to remove him. He's getting beat up. But that's going to come out with me to the store probably tomorrow. But there's no caves in here or anything yet. There's just a lot of blue-green algae that I need to take care of. But hopefully I'll be able to show you even these guys picking at it here in a minute. Which I might have to back up because they're looking at me. That's, you know, I love cichlids for the fact that they're smart, but I also hate them when I'm filming because they're smart. So just wait a second here. Good looking fish, by the way. I mean, if I toot my own horn or whatever. We do sell these in the shop. I brought these home so I could breed them. But they will start taking the brine here. They're still looking at me. I don't know if I can get much further away without, and still like get the fact that they're eating. I'm hitting like the max on my zoom. But anyway, I can feed some other stuff while we're waiting. Obviously things like this tank of red zebras, they would mow through this too, but it's kind of a waste. You don't necessarily want to feed just anything this, because you're gonna go broke. I mean, a can of eggs is like 70 bucks at this point with shipping. So you really want to spoil the things that you're either having trouble spawning, or there's fry in the tank. Or you might even just think there's fry in the tank, or you know fry are coming out soon. Like I know a mouthful of fry are coming out soon of these Betta SImplex, Betta Rubra. And let's see if I can see anyone. Well, I'm just going to put some food in there. So I've now put some in. I'm going to put some in here. I have Betta SImplex down here. Which this is a classic, don't do this. I have Betta Rubra up here and I have Betta SImplex down there. All the one's got to do is jump down and I can start crossbreeding and I wouldn't even know what's going on until, you know, it might be too late. Pride and Joy over here, my long ear guppies. Let me put some in there. So that's another perfect use. When you really love something and you want to see it flourish, like look at that. Oh yeah, that baby's growing up in here. And you know, some people might go, oh yeah, you grew up a guppy, but man, do I love these guppies. And so that is so awesome to me, you know. So, you know, I get excited about dumb things, and I hope you guys do too. But oh, weird. Did they spawn today, in fact, and then something went on where they didn't pick it up? Look at this. This is all like eggs here, which they're a mouth brooder. So I wonder if they spawned on top of that and it didn't work, or if, let me see if I can, you know, move some stuff around here and see what's going on. All right, so there's, well, you know, that's the problem with giving him a lot of. Oh, there we go. Oh, he's got a big old mouthful. The female's right over here. Well, you know, he's pissed now because he's, you know, holding a mouthful of fry and ice, took us home away. The female is looking at us going, how dare you? But they'll settle back down, she can eat. If I come down here, let's take a look and see if we can see Betta SImplex in here. And I realize this tutorial is getting long in how to make brine shrimp, but bizarre. There's like the same eggs right here. I don't, you know, and I would almost swear like, okay, then that's not eggs, but what else could it be? I mean, I don't have it on other filters. Like I've got food on this filter because I'm feeding these fry, but these are both mouth brooding bettas, Let's see if there's any in the caves here. None in that one. And none in that one. Let's see if I can... Oh! One just darted by here, but... Well, I'm pretty good at not showing you guys fish. I realize... You know, maybe I cut all this out. Who knows? Maybe I leave it in. I'm a fishmonger. So... yeah, but... You know, so we've got Red Delta Guppies down here. Look at all the fry in there. Oh, man. That would be hard to feed. But, luckily, I'm going to throw the rest of my brine in here. I'm just going to go bloop, right there. Clean the container out. And that's the density I'll feed a lot of times. It's like Christmas in there. I like to see it snowing. And we'll go check in on those other fry that I said are going to get nice fat bellies, and we'll come back and check on these guys, and then I'll actually show you how I do brine shrimp, which this is how I feed it, but you know, right over here. We're still watching these guys, and now you can, well, I can see, I don't know if you guys can see, but you start seeing their bellies are getting huge. You know, compared to, like, you see their eyeball. Well, let me get some up front here, but you can see their eyeball. This is not optimal for shooting here. But their stomach is 10 times the size of anything else on them now, because they've eaten all that brine shrimp I put in there. So that's what you want to see. And we can see now I snuck up on these apistos, kinda, and they're starting to eat the brine as well. You know, they're clued in that I'm here, and they're coming to investigate, but and they're chasing that other one. So I need to get some caves in there and stuff. But you know, brine shrimp is amazing. Don't let anyone fool you that live baby brine isn't needed. You know, it's like saying, you know, really high quality food isn't needed. Sure, it's not needed, but the results are just mind-blowingly awesome. So, if you like what we're doing, go ahead and subscribe, give us a like, do all those things. You know, we're hatching brine shrimp. It's not rocket scientist. It's rocket scientist. It's not a rocket scientist. I'll tell you that. It's not rocket science, but it is pretty important, and it's probably one of the biggest things you could do in your fish room that would make a huge difference. You know, honestly, it's a dedicated 10 minutes every single day. I will say that. Every day you'll spend 10 minutes working on brine shrimp, but what you'll get from it cannot be replaced. I don't care any dry food, any frozen food, it cannot replace the live brine shrimp, and that's just reality. So, you know, tune in next time for the next video. We'll see you later.